Last week's Shiur, we spoke, it was a Shiur Akdama, the Makoir for the mitzvah to say the rice of Shofar, the reason for the mitzvah. And this week, Be'ez Hashem, we're still in the beginning, we just started the Siman officially this week. I'm not going to go into the Prati Dinim of Tkiya, more an overview, Kloliestige Yesoid in Tkiya Shofar. You don't have to worry, I don't say every week, it's every other week, but next week the speaker is available. Next week, Shkoich Reb Zevi for arranging, so I'm going to say this week instead of next week. The mitzvahs... Shkoich. The mitzvah in the Torah of Shofar, the Torah says, Yom Trua Yilachem, Yom Trua, let's say in English, a day true of BLASTS, to blow shofar. What is the mitzvah say of Tkiya Shofar? Is the mitzvah to blow shofar, or is the mitzvah to listen to the Tkiya Shofar? L'mashal, by Kriyas HaMegillah, the mitzvah is to read the Megillah. Now we don't all read the Megillah. However, the Scheiner Koines, it blibes as if we all read the Megillah. That's the bracha al Mikra Megillah. What's the mitzvah by Tkiya Shofar? When the Torah Kedosha says Yom Trua, is the Torah saying the same, that the mitzvah is to blow? Scheiner Koina, it's as if we all are Balei Tekeah. Or is the mitzvah to listen to the Tkiya? Havada, we have to learn well, go through the siman that we're learning now in the night kollel, how long the kollels have to be, the hefsek, how does it look, the hefsek in the kollels. But what is the mitzvah? Is the mitzvah the blowing of the kollels, or is the mitzvah the listening of the kollels? Oh, we'll get to the bracha, very good. We'll get to the bracha in a minute, excellent. Lanaf gemina, if somebody blows shofar, and he doesn't hear the shofar, he's wearing earplugs, are you yoitza? If the mitzvah is to blow, so lamaisa, you did a maisa tkiya, you blew. Masha inkin, if the mitzvah is to hear, you didn't hear. The other way around also, if a kid blows, a cheirish shait of a katan blows, if the mitzvah is a mitzvah to blow, so they're not a bar chayuva, you don't have shemei koiner from a kid. Ma'ashagan, if the mitzvah is to hear the koil, you hear a koilis, who cares that it's coming from a cotton? So what is the mitzvah? Is the mitzvah the blowing, or the mitzvah is the shmir? If the mitzvah is to hear, Adrab, let's see, we're going to go through a little bit, lakan. What'd it say? We'll be march a little bit more. The pashtus lashon harishonim is klar that the mitzvah is shmiyah. The Lashon HaRambam, the beginning of Hilchos Shofar, Perek Aleph, Halacha Aleph, Zok the Rambam, MITZVAS asay shel Torah, l'shmoya truas HaShofar. L'shmoya, to listen. The mitzvah is to listen. Obviously, the only way to listen, you need to have somebody to blow. But the mitzvah is to listen. You have to hear. L'shmoya truas HaShofar b'Rosh Hashanah, shenema yom trua yilachem. The chinuch as well. A lot of times the Chinuch quotes the Ram. The Chinuch says, "Shinitz tavinu l'shmoya koil shofar." Zok the Rosh, since the mitzvah is shmiyah, he brings the bahag, like you mentioned, very good, the lashon habracha. The etzem, he starts off and he brings that the Rabbeinu Tam says that the lashon habracha is al tkiya shofar. But Zok the Bahag, the Rosh quotes the Bahag, that what bracha do we make? L'shmoya koil shofar. L'shmoya, because the mitzvah is to listen. So the Baal Tekeah that's going to be blowing, even for him, even for everybody, the mitzvah is shmiyah, and that's why the bracha is l'shmoya koil shofar. Agav, The Rosh, the Mishabura speaks this out, that it's l'shmoya koil shofar, not l'shmoya bikoil shofar. Though one of the Rishonim taka bring bikoil shofar, and he says bikoil is like in this week's parsha that Ben Soira Moira is a nenu shomea bikoil aviv. It's not l'shmoya bikoil. You're not listening to what the shofar is telling you. Though, like we spoke last week, that the shofar is supposed to be mo'oyer, but it's not l'shmoya bikoil. You're not listening to the direction of the shofar. It's l'shmoya. The mitzvah is l'shmoya koil shofar. Al Kaponim, what we have over here with a Clark guide is that the MITZVAS say of shofar that we're learning, the mitzvah is to listen to the koil shofar. The Shari Tshuva brings very interesting from the Chavas Yard. There was once a town that they didn't have a Baal Tekeya, so they had to bring in a Baal Tekeya. There were some people that they were able to afford and some people not. Aganza Tomol, I'm skipping really towards the end of the scenario, but Al Kaponim.
You have in mind the
Oh, very good. So the people that paid said, listen, we're bringing you in, the other people can't afford. We're paying, it's on condition that you only have a mind for the people that paid, not for the people that didn't pay. So we're not going to go into that shmooze. Lamaisa, we're going to go to the end, I would say, the tzir that he brings, let's call it the Ma'aser Shahaya. The person came, and the person said, listen, I'm coming anyways. My ibches, let me be moitze everybody. You're saying, this time, the Baal Tekeya was a elchid, he came ready to town, why not be moitze everybody? Zok the Chavas Yor, nobody is yoitze. Nobody. Even the people that paid also. Why? Hayois. The people that paid, the way their yoitz is b'shlichas, and this guy didn't do a shlichas. They told him, you come blow the shofar, and only for us, not for the other people. Hayois, he didn't do their shlichas, they are not yoitza. Klor. What? Oh, very good. Frek the Shari Tshuva, very good, exactly like you're saying. Beautiful Mordechai. Hayois, I don't understand. Shlichus. How does shlichus come in over here? You don't need shlichus. The only thing the people need is to listen to the koil, the shmiyah. The only thing that's needed is to listen to the koil ha-shofar. So ibazoi, if the only thing he needs is to listen to the koil ha-shofar, what's the nafkamina if this Baal Tekeya was smart and moitzi everybody? Lamaisa, they heard the koil. If it needs to, you need shlichus, which means if it would be a mitzvah for tkiya shemeh ka'ina, so then you need shlichus. He wasn't a proper shlich because he didn't listen to them. But if it's just shmiyah, what difference does it make? Lamaisa, they heard. What'd say? The Baal Tekeya hands in to be moitze everybody, the people that paid and the people that didn't pay. And everybody had a mind to be yoitze with the Baal Tekeya.
It doesn't work.
Why shouldn't the Chavetz Yor says it doesn't work for anybody, he's pashut, he's ois, because he's not a good shliach. But if you don't need shlichus, what should be the problem? Because they paid him? Okay, so they paid him, I hear. What does it have to do with the tkiyas? Good, we'll get to that. Moiridik, we'll get to that shaila mamash in a minute. That's one of the shailas that they ask. We'll get to mamash in a minute. Al Kaponim, what do we have over here, Klar? The mitzvah is shmiyah, and ayois the mitzvah is shmiyah, the people, everybody's yoitza. What'd say? Yeah. Tafkuf Peivav, I think in the beginning it is. It's on Amud Bais on the bottom. It starts on the bottom and it goes to the next Amud Aleph.
In that case, it would be a bracha batala.
What'd you say?
In that case, it would be a bracha batala.
If nobody's yoitza like the Chavas Yor says, Havada l'chayr, you're being more right. It's a bracha batala. Yeah. The Baal Tekeya himself. Yeah, the Baal Tekeya himself. Yeah. Richtig, the Baal Tekeya himself. If you didn't blow earlier. Yeah. Richtig, then it wouldn't be a bracha batala. Stellt sich aber the shaila like this. If you learn, like we see the pashtus is that the mitzvah is the shmiyah, there are three basic questions asked in the achronim. Number one, The Mishnah Chav Tes Amud Aleph brought in the Siman Tavkuf Pei Tes. That's the Siman Mi HaRu'uyim to blow. Cheirish Shoyte V'Katan, they're potter, and Memela you can't be Yoitza. So the Shaila is, if they need to be a Shliach, if you need Shemei Ka'ina, I understand. But if you just need to hear a Kollel Shofar, you hear a Kollel Shofar. You hear a Kollel Shofar. L'shmaya Kollel Shofar. You hear a Kollel Shofar. V'oid. What'd you say? That's some Cheirish Shoyte V'Katan Goy Isha. Doesn't make, if it's blown, well, it's Kollel Shofar. If the mitzvah is to listen, why should it be? If the mitzvah is to listen, at the end of the day, the Torah says listen to a Kollel Shofar. It doesn't make a difference who blows it, Cheirish Shoyte V'Katan Isha, anybody, Lamaisi, hear a Kollel Shofar. V'oid, Megillah, Lamashal, we understand. Cheirish Shoyte V'Katan that reads a Megillah, and you're not Yoitza because you need Shemei Ka'oina as their reading is like your reading. So you can't have their reading because they're a Katan. Mashak and Shofar, you have a Shmiya. V'oid, the Mishnah Lamed Bais Misasik, somebody that's down playing around with the Shofar and a Koil comes out. Gepaskend also on that Siman, Mi HaRu'uyim L'Shofar, the Siv Ches, the din is that you're not Yoitza. What's the difference? Misasik doesn't make a difference. Lamaisi here a Kollel Shofar. And lastly, why do you have to have? This is what you were asking before. Why do you have to have kavanas, the Baal Tekeh to be mechavan lotzis, and kavana for the shemeya to be yoitza from the person that's blowing? Why do you have to have all these kavanas? There's no shemeya ka'ina. You're listening to the Kollel Shofar, and that's what the Torah wants. You mekayim the mitzvah.
There's no way to hitch all these things into the Shmir.
So that's what we're going to speak about a little bit. How taka to hitch it. How that's what you have to say. We'll see. Let's see. There's a few different mahalchim as Sham will go through. The Chazanish and Ramosha and Chuvas both say like this: 100% the mitzvah is the shmiya, not the blowing. The shmiya. However, the type of tkiyah that you have to listen to, the koilis that you have to listen to, is a tkiyah that was blown l'shem mitzvah. The mitzvah is not to blow, the mitzvah is to hear. But these tanoim in the mitzvah, just like everybody agrees, you can listen to a koil from today till tomorrow, but it has to be by day, not by night. So there's another tanai that the tkiyah the koilis have to be koilis that were blown l'mitzvah. Pashut. And Memela, Cheirish Shoyte V'Katan can accomplish it. Misasik can accomplish it. Somebody that blows and he's not mechaven lotzes, oibazay weiter bleibs l'shir, takeh l'shir. Very clear. Avada the Torah says to listen to koilos, but it has to be koilos that were blown l'shem mitzvah. But what comes out very interesting, Rabbi say, is that if the Baal Tekeh blows, he himself, for him it's good, but even if he's machab, for him he's blowing and he's yoitza, but for the other person he wasn't machav and he's not yoitza. It's very interesting because be'etzem the koil is really a koil that was blown l'shem mitzvah. V'haraya, the Baal Tekeh himself is being yoitza. I'm pointing out it's a shtickle chiddush. On the third kasha, it blows up this chiddush. Because lamaisa, when the Baal Tekeh is blowing, for him himself, it's a regular, clear tkiyah shal mitzvah. So, what are we saying? You have to listen to a koil that was blown l'shem mitzvah. So the Baal Tekeh blew it l'shem mitzvah. Because he wasn't mechaven to be moitzi somebody else, a klapi de shameya, that's not a tkiyah shal mitzvah yet. That's a bigger chiddush.
Is that in the right? Is he yes, the right?
Pashtus, the dinim and the mishnayis, you want to know if it's a din derabana, Pashtus, lo yotza. Klar, you're not yotza. All Cheirish Shoyte V'Katan, you're not yotza. You're not yotza mederaisa.
If we only had some in mind and not the others.
If what'd say?
We only had some in mind and not the others.
You're saying could be over there, this chiddush is more derabana digedin. Could be. The Sfas Emes says the same idea, the same concept, but he uses a little bit of a different word. He says that when you don't, instead of saying that you have to have a koil that was blown l'shem mitzvah, he says if it's not this koil shofar, if you don't have it l'shem mitzvah, instead of how they say it blibes ki'ilu tekei l'shir, he says it's as of a koil that doesn't come out from a shofar, comes out from a keren, something that's not kosher. But the same idea, you have to have a koil shal mitzvah.
If you have in mind to be Yotze, but he has in mind to be Yotze, everyone's sitting on the left side of the room, right? So then that's the left side had kavanah to be Yotze.
They were machavan lotzes. The left side was machavan lotzes, and he was machavan to be moitzi them. That's beautiful.
The right side, even though they had kavanah to be moitzi,
but he was not machavan to be moitzi them. They're not going to be yotze.
He wasn't machavan to be yotze. Therefore, they're not yotze.
Right.
And the reason why they're not yotze is because they didn't hear a tekiah, which
the Chiddush was saying now in the Chazanish is that you could split it, that legabe them, because the Baal Tekeh wasn't machavan to be moitzi the right side side is not shal mitzvah. It's kiyah shal shir. For the left side it's a kiyah shal mitzvah. Yeah. I'm saying the same thing even without right side and left side. If the Baal Tekeh blows and he's machavan, he's from himself and he doesn't have in mind anybody else, that's also a very big chiddush, because the Maisa from himself he's yotze, al karchoch, it's a koil shofar shal mitzvah. So everybody that's listening is hearing a koil shofar shal mitzvah.
He's machavan, them, and then have right? He made a beautiful sound.
You're saying there also is a chiddush if the Baal Tekeh is machavan for everybody, but the listeners weren't machavan over there also. Lamaisa they weren't machavan. What did they have to machavan lotzis? Lamaisa he's a koil shal shofar. Yeah, that's also a chiddush taka. No. One second. This is not, but this is to be machavan. One second. Here we're talking about the machavan to be yotze from the Baal Tekeh. Mitzvah shlichus kavanah. You do a mitzvah, you shake lulav. Mitzvah shlichus kavanah. You have to be machavan to be yotze. Shekach tziva boirei. By the shofar also, even without this whole shmuz, the Baal Tekeh blows. He has mitzvah shlichus kavanah. He's doing it. But now here we're talking about something else. To be machavan lahoitzi, the people that are listening, and the listeners. The Even Ozol says a little bit on a different note. Also that the mitzvah is the shmir, like we're saying till now. But he adds, and he says like this: Hayois, the Torah says Yom Teruah. The Torah already says Yom Teruah to blow. Now, there's no mitzvah on everybody to blow, but somebody has to blow. Like his lashon in the Even Ozol's Bezdin, what he means the Baal Tekeh, somebody has to blow, which means for all of us, for every single one of us, the mitzvah of the Torah is to listen. However, that has to come together with a blowing. You don't have to have Shemea Ka'oineh to have the blowing, but there has to be a blowing. Everyone understands? The mitzvah is to listen, l'shmoya. The mitzvah is to listen, klal, like we're saying till now. However, the word is not tanai. However, to listen to the koil, it has to come from a tkiyah. What we declared in the beginning is the mitzvah to blow, or the mitzvah is to listen. The mitzvah is to listen. However, it has to come from a blowing. It has to come from a blowing. Cheresh Shaitavakatan is not a blowing. Masasik is not a blowing. Not Machavan Lotz is not a blowing. But you don't need Shemea Ka'oineh to be'etzim have it.
What do you mean it's not blowing? Not blowing a mitzvah? Because that's what we said before.
No. If you good, very good. Up until now we said the only thing is shmiyah. No, the type of shmiyah that you're supposed to have is a shmiyah of a koil shal mitzvah. Here we're saying no, shmiyah to listen, not shmiyah koil shal mitzvah. However, because the Torah says yom teruah, the Torah says blowing, you have to listen to a koil that's coming from a blowing. Not what we said before, that the shmiyah has to be a shmiyah shal mitzvah. No, it's a regular shmiyah, but it has to come from a blowing. If I would tell you the mitzvah is blowing, you would totally understand. Here we're saying it's not that the mitzvah is the blowing, but there has to be a blowing.
But they're not
Not a
even.
registered.
It's not blowing. It's not a registered blowing. It's not blowing. It's not mitzvah is not blowing. Just like when we said before, if it would be a mitzvah to blow, we would totally understand because you don't have the blowing. So here we're saying it's not a mitzvah for everybody to blow. The mitzvah is shmir, but it has to come from a blowing. Someone has to blow. Bezdin, the Baal Tekeya.
That's not the same for Tkiyah Shal Mitzvah?
Tkiyah Shal Mitzvah really means is that the word is it's only shmir. But there's a Tanai and shmir, you have to listen to a koil of a Tkiyah Shal Mitzvah. Here we're saying, you just have to listen. But there's another thing, besides listening to a koil, you also have to have a Tkiyah. If the Ilms, it's the same thing, could be it's the same thing. I thought that what Evan Ozel is saying, that's a very small piece, you can look, mamish very short. He says, he makes this big chiddush that the pshat is that Avada, it's the shmir. Hayos, the Torah says, Yom Teruah, it's a din and bezdin to blow. It doesn't mean bezdin, Yovel's bezdin. It means that pshat is about the keah. So pshat is you have to have, as I mean, tzur of a blowing. Could be the Ilms saying that's right. We have to ma'ayah more about it.
Could be it's not a registered tkiyah.
One second, Tekelah Toicha Bar is a perfect tkiyah. You don't have shmir.
You don't have the shmir. You don't have the shmir and yucheves because it's a passage in the shmir, but it's a registered blow.
Yeah.
So you see that spell.
Yeah.
In between the two.
Yeah. Richtig. So one thing comes out lamaisa the what are we saying?
In the book,
Yeah. If you listen, yeah. Lamaisa, with this yesoi that we're saying that you still need the be'etzem it's shmir up until now, we're not mayashav the shari tshuva. The shari tshuva asks, why shouldn't the person be, why should nobody be yotze? With the story of there's no shlichas, it's shmir. So up until now we're saying it's shmir. Lamaisa, atkan it's shmir. Lamaisa, the kapas tamarim says, and Minchas Chinuch also says like that it's both. It's both. It's shmir and it's tkiyah. Both. It's both. So Mamela, if you stop right here, it's moiridig in the Welt. It's both. And Mamela, cheresh shaita v'katan lo yatsa, because you don't have a tkiyah. Tekelah boyer is lo yatsa, because even though you have the tkiyah, you don't have the shmir. You need both. It's very simple. Machavan lotza is because you need both. You need both. Klar. Both. Minchas Chinuch says the same also. You need both.
At the same time?
Oh, very good. Moiridik in the Welt. He himself read Zerois. He says, Be'etzen, you could say, to hafla de gazach. Listen to what he says. If you blow, here, could a person be yoitza? You have to keil a bar. I blew into the bar. I did it here. So there I'm going to be yoitza, the ma'isa mitzvah of tkiyah. And then I'm going to have a cheresh shoit of a cotton blow for me. And I have the shmir, not the tkiyah. So he says, no, you have to have both together. You have to have both together. It's posh, you need it together. He says, Avada, it's two chalokim in the mitzvah, but you can't have each one separate. You have to have both together. Where does the Kappas tomorrow come to this chiddush? Kappas tomorrow comes to this chiddush that it's both. B'koich all the kashis that we're speaking about. Lakan, he says it's both. Lamaisa, the Sfasemis brings the Kappas tomorrow and he says, what's the raya? It's like what we said before. It's really just shmir. Now, of course, you have to have a shmir of a koil shofar shal mitzvah. What if you hold the why is a l'shmaya not the tkiyah? You mean if it's both? Right now we're going to answer the shaila. So why taka is the bracha l'shmaya? The Emek bracha brings that there are two rishonim, one rishon that's mafurish, and he even wants to say like that in the Rambam what we said before. He brings the Rosh. Lamaisa, I don't see it in the Rosh, but the Lashon, what the Emek bracha quotes in the Rosh is ha de mevarchen l'shmaya and not al l'tkoyer al atkiya. The teretz is, he says, he brings the Rosh. I saw the Rosh and I don't see it, but he says, Mishum de be'inon nami shmiyah. You asked why do we say l'shmoya? It's both. L'shmoya, I have to point out that you also need shmiyah. But al kaponim, zok the emek bracha, bedoim like what the Kappas Tamarim says, it's both. It's both. The Rosh says nami. Though I looked, I didn't see, maybe it's somewhere else, but when the Rosh speaks about it over there, he doesn't say the Nami, he taka brings the Shaila, and he says the Bahag, but he doesn't say the Nami. Zok the Emek Brocha, the Rambam that we mentioned before, that the Rambam says Shmiya, and we were pretty stark that if the Rambam says Shmiya, the mitzvah Shmiya, not Tkiya, he says no, the reason why he says Shmiya is because the derech of the Rambam is to go on what the Pasuk speaks about, and the Pasuk says Yom Teruah, which is Shmiya, which is interessant. I would have thought Yom Teruah is actually Tkiya, not Shmiya, but Al Kaponim he says Zok the Emek Brocha, that's why the Rambam said Shmiya, but Avad it's Tkiya as well. So that's the Kappas Tamarim and the Emek Bracha. The mitzvah is both. Lamaisa, and with this I'm going to conclude, Lamaisa, even though they want to be miyashiv that the Rambam holds that it's both, the Rambam and Shuvas, they bring this Maramakam, the Rambam and Shuvas spells out mefurish, black and white, that the mitzvah is only shmiya. The Rambam asks, why do we make a bracha l'shmoya? Why not l'tkoya? Zok the Rambam, the words are mefurish, the mitzvah is shmiya and not tkiya. He says clearly, mefurish the Rambam, klor, and pe'era, ador, and shuvas Rambam, he spells out clearly the mitzvah is shmiya and not tkiya. Then he says,
What's he coming to say there?
then he says, no, that's why he says why the Lashon HaBracha is Shmiya, not Tkiya. Now, even though maybe if we said before it's both, but he spells it out clearly and he says it's not Tkiya. Now he says, if the mitzvah would be Tkiya, to blow, how could you have Shemea Ka'ina? It's the mitzvah shebegufoi, just like lulav. You can't have somebody else be moitzi you at lulav. How could you have somebody else blowing the shofar for you? Just like shaking the lulav, somebody can't shake the lulav for you. Person can't blow the shofar for you. So Mela Zok the Rambam in Tshuva, the mitzvah is shmiyah, the mitzvah is not tkiya. If the mitzvah would be tkiya, how could you be moitzi somebody else?
Yeah.
Very good. So, you have to be yashav and shmi. What?
Why can a cotton blow? You have to say the first part. To
be yashav, yeah. Though, yeah, the Kappas Rambam himself, Lamaisa, brings this Rambam, and he has a different heritage in the Rambam. He says that only for cheres shayt of a cotton, he says, because it's a gnai. Pasha the gnai, that's why they can. It's only miyashav cheres shayt of a cotton. But Al Kapanim, I thought you were going to say you have to miyashav also. If you hold it, if it's taka. If you hold it's both, so how taka could be yoitze the tkiya? So the kap, what'd say?
It's a kollel. Is it a mice? Is it a mice or a deeper?
If you look,
Maybe blowing's not a mice. It's not both.
It's different. You're saying.
No, he's saying
The chefetz of a kollel is the chefetz of blowing.
Yeah, but how could you be moitzi the blowing? Bishleim reading the Megillah, even if it's the Maisa Kriya, but Shemei Ko'in is like you read it. Shemei Ko'in is like you blow the shofar. What's it? By shofar. So how tak? If you learn like the Kappas Tamarim, how could you be yotzei? How could you be yotzei at Kiyah? So the emes is, if you look in the Kappas Tamarim himself, the Kappas Tamarim himself is miyash of this. And he says a moira de gechidash, and he says that there's a gilu HaTorah over here. When the Torah says Yom Teruah is mashma that one Yom Teruah, not everybody has to. The Torah is magala. Here by shofar it's different. Even though otherwise lulav, everyone has to take lulav. Shofar, the Torah is magala. One Teruah, one blowing is enough for everybody. The shmiyah everyone has to hear. It's a gilu. As we talk the Kappas tomorrow inside. Why is it not for other places? It's a gilui. Al Kapanim, what do we have over here that the Rambam says mefurish that it's shmiyah, and azoich this is the Rambam. The Rambam says weiter in Hilchas Shofar that if you use a stolen shofar, you're yoitza. The pashtus is it's a raya gemura that the mitzvah is not the blowing. If the mitzvah would be blowing, you're using it's a mitzvah bar bavera. If it's just shmiyah, so then the pshat is that's not the mitzvah, but it's the koil from a shofar that's gneglav. I see these Torah you can be yashiv. So just to conclude, to be masakam, the mitzvah sasei of shofar Is it the MITZVAS Tkiya or is it the MITZVAS Shmiya? We saw the pashtus is that it's the mitzvah of Shmiya, of listening to the Kollel Shofar. Lamaisa, we saw there is a tzad clearly in the Kappas Tamarim that it's both, it's side the Tkiya and side the Shmiya. No. He doesn't even bring it. Yeah. Never know.